Well, thank you for joining us for another iTWire video. This is Alex Zaharov-Reutt, and I'm here with Marc Diffey. He is the CIO of Xchanging in Australia. Now, Marc, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
Can you please give us a top-line overview of Xchanging's business, including an outline of your operations in this market?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're in 3 lines of business currently, which is procurement, business processing, and technology-enabled solutions. It's a bit of a mouthful, but that's what we do. So procurement really is about trying to make companies save some money in their spend. So when you think about millions of things that they buy, they try and get economies of scale by coming to us, and we help them in that procurement process from procure to pay, etc. So business process services, another area, and that's really where people, we can take their processes, use our own people, use our own technology, and we can make that process even more efficient using all our expertise in that area. Traditionally, it's been the offshore outsourcing type thing, which has got a bit of a bad rap. But from our perspective, it's more co-sourcing and using the best technologies that we can, really. So business process services, things like back office for banking, claims management, policy management, and here specifically in Australia, it's about workers' compensation claims and policy that we manage as well. And then the third piece is about technology-enabled solutions. So all those buzzwords of Internet of Things, Internet of Everything,
which we'll talk about in a second.
We'll talk about those. Mobile apps, and actually infrastructure as a service as well. So I can explain some of those, but it's really about what's the best fit for the customer as opposed to, oh, you must have this latest bit of technology. No, it's the right one for the right customer.
That's right. Not technology for technology's sake, but a solution.
No, it's a solution. Technology-enabled solutions is the terminology that we try to use as well.
Which makes sense. Now, most recently, one of your media releases was about something you were doing with the Victorian WorkSafe Authority. Please tell us about that.
Yeah, so that was an exciting event where in 2013 we launched a mobile app for workers' compensation market, and in Victoria they have an award every year for one of the categories was innovation in personal injury management. A bit of a mouthful again. So we were finalists in the top 3. Unfortunately, didn't win, but we were in the top 3 for an award that was a couple of weeks ago. So that was pretty exciting for us to get there as a finalist.
Get the gong,
get the gong,
which is good. Now, another finalist position was with the CEO magazine's CIO of the Year, which was last week. Tell us what happened there.
So that was another exciting event, black tie and everything, and 1,000 people there, all striking to get to the final. So I was there, one of the 5 finalists, CIO for the work that we did last year. But pipped at the post, but still recognised in Australia's CEO's magazine. So I was very proud to represent Xchanging as nominated CIO of the Year. So
and what was some of the criteria for nomination?
Being aligned to business was specifically one. Helping business understand technology and demystify some of these black box things and do you really need it? And something just a bit more innovative without the the buzz technology, just something that was really useful for the company and for our customers.
Now, something that you have actually been awarded is the BRW's top 50 most innovative companies in Australia for 2 years in a row. I know that we're going through all the good things that have happened with Xchanging, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what's the story there?
So that was a first actually. 2013, we put in our submission saying yes, this is the things we're doing as Xchanging, a whole raft of technology advances that we're trying to move, and one of them was a mobile app called Zoom. Don't worry about the name. Which is a mobile app for workers' compensation for New South Wales specifically, and it was for brokers or intermediaries, whichever word you want to use, which was specifically about allowing them to access their data on any device at any time. Catchphrases, etc. So we launched the first one, and so that platform allowed us to be rated number 48 in 2013, most innovative companies in Australia, which was
pretty
a
good.
Great award.
So
that was the first, because as a company in Australia, we're really about procurement and business process services, and technology underpins that internally, but really my role is about trying to move Xchanging to be known for technology in Australia. We are globally, we're 8,000 strong company, over $1 billion turnover, but in Australia people go Xchanging who? That sort of thing.
So it was good to be recognised.
Good to be recognised. And then we launched another version of this specifically for the injured worker and the employer to be able to have at their fingertips real-time data to say to them, look, this is your claim, this is when you got paid, because that's what injured workers need to know about, this is when your next going to be paid, this is when your med cert's going to run out, all that sort of information that allowed the injured worker to manage their own claim, for want of a better word. So that was launched this year, and that's why the second year we went from 48 to number 40 BRW. So the pressure's on for us to go into 2015
to do the hat trick.
Do the hat trick.
Yeah,
so yes, we'll see about that one.
And what do you think that'll be, for another iteration of Zoom or for something a different project?
I think it'll be a different project. Yeah, I think
all top secret at the moment what that project is, or
no, it's not top secret really. It's more around reporting and analytics. Now there's a lot of buzzwords about analytics.
Yep.
And I've worked with data mining companies, etc. So I understand quite a bit of analytics.
Sure.
But from our perspective, it's more of the end user being able to see the data, and you've heard buzzwords about big data as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But making sense out of this information. And it's another iteration of Zoom where it's, yes, I can access it at 3 in the morning if I really am an insomniac, and say, right, what are the trends, and augment the data that customers have already got to be able to make even better business decisions, basically.
Now, speaking of trends, a different angle on trends, what would you say are some of the trends in the market that are driving the uptake for Xchanging solutions?
I think it's because we sort of captured a bit of a niche market where there's a lot of companies that are saying, right, here's a solution, and trying to find a company that matches the solution.
Yeah.
Whereas we've got a core component for the solution where you've got the back end, getting all the data and making sense out of that. You've got the pipe work, for one of a technical term, back to surfacing that on any device, which allows us to use that for anybody's data very quickly. So we've got that framework, as opposed to taking 6 months, a year to implement something.
Yeah.
We can do that in sort of 90 days, which people are interested in. And that's the sort of trends I think. People do not want to wait years to get access to the data, and they go, nah, that's too big a project.
That's right. I mean, instant gratification, they say, isn't instant enough. So
it is, and I'm sort of Gen Y in a baby boomer outfit. I want things quickly as well these days. Everybody does. You just expect it. Oh, my iPad, my phone. I expect to see everything I want there and then. And I think the beauty of the iPhone is there are so many apps there. If you're in on the iOS and you've got your app, you've then got access to all those other applications. So to give you an example, where injured worker, it reminds me of my appointment to go and see the therapist or whatever it might be. But at the same time, I click on the button, it opens Google Map.
Yeah.
Oh, that's how I get there. Same time, it can link straight to a taxi firm or Uber taxis or whatever, and off you go. All those things are linked without my team having to create these. All we have to do is link to them. So I think that's where it opens up huge expanse, and those are the trends, I think. As long as you're fairly open source, yet understanding what's out there, and you can link to those.
Now, one of the things we mentioned before was the Internet of Things, and I understand that's something you're very passionate about. Yes. So, everyone's jumping on this. What's your advice to companies? What are your thoughts on IoT, and what's your advice to companies who are thinking of jumping onto this bandwagon?
Yeah, I've read a lot about it, clearly, as people do.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of hype about the Internet of Things.
I'm sure on Gartner's hype cycle it's right at the top or something at the moment.
And
I have to check, but I'm sure it is.
It is, and I think they say it's like I've got a 10-year cycle.
We're about to hit the plateau of disappointment or whatever it is,
That's right.
I can't remember. The trough of disappointment until we hit the plateau of productivity. So that's all still to come, which is good.
Apparently, we're right at the beginning of the wave. But surprisingly to me, it's been around for a long, long time, the Internet of Things. It really has. It's nothing new.
It's like with the cloud. It always used to be web server based, and then it got this new name.
Yeah, but we've had network servers for 10, 15 years. It's not new. It really isn't. It's just a way of companies to be able to sell something. Internet of Things, and we're as good or as bad as the others, where we've got Internet of Things that we do. My concern, I guess, would be the privacy and security aspect, where it's all very good. It's all very good, everybody being connected.
Yeah.
But then companies and not so good companies will start using that information for bad, not for good.
Yeah.
In some respects, and I'm not, a doomsday person, but I just think companies need to be very careful of what they surface. And as soon as I launched the mobile app, I had workers' private data exposed to the outside world. I had a few sleepless nights, and that's the same thing for the Internet of Things. I think we just have to be very careful as to security, privacy, what we do with that bit of information.
And just as you mentioned it, how did you secure that private data of those workers?
Yeah, so
in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, we are not the experts in security for web-based applications. So we've got an external company come in, do all the pen tests, and make sure it's right. So I can sue them if I get caught, or as opposed to us. But yes, we have to know what our skill set.
Absolutely.
And security is not necessarily ours in Australia, and that's where we got a third party. And touch wood, been longer than a year now without any issues. So that's been pretty good.
Sure. And any other thoughts on Internet of Things whilst we're on the topic?
I think people need to look at the way that Internet of Things can help people as opposed to just machine to machine, talking to each other, getting all this information, and what do you do with it? It might make companies work better, great, but does it really help our lives? I don't think so. I think it should be around things like the refrigerator, where you've got all your stuff in there, it's all got barcodes anyway. The fridge, you put your bottle of milk in there. Next morning, before you run out of milk, it's actually already told Coles or Woolies or whoever it is. I'm not preferring any retailer, just before I thought I'd say it. And the delivery comes the next week without you even having to worry about you're running out of milk. It knows your trends. I think that's a great app for that sort of thing, as opposed to just companies knowing what you're buying next, so they can profile you and bombard you with extra, latest offers that they can.
I mean, in a way, it's still a very nascent market. We've still yet to figure out what to do with all this data and how to best use it without, as you were saying, besmirching people's privacy and all the rest. So.
Yes, absolutely. I think making best use of our limited resources is really where the Internet of Things can come in as well, where, we've got Building 360 as an application for us, which allows us to monitor buildings, commercial mainly, but it says, okay, based on today, we know how many people are supposed to be on holiday, based on their, their leave calendar. So do we need the air conditioning that high or that low? Do we need all the lifts working? Do we, you can reduce your green footprint by predicting companies and offices and how they work. So I think that's a real good trend.
Intelligent use of resources, as you were saying.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, before we look at your key priorities as a CIO, what else does 2015 entail for Xchanging? A bit of the future, not just 2015, but beyond the years ahead as well. What do you see?
Yeah, so as I mentioned right at the beginning, it was, Xchanging has been known for business process services procurement, but it's a really exciting time for me. Xchanging, I've been here 2 years now, and I was brought on the role as CIO, which traditionally has been internal focus. So we've done that, and now the 15, 16, 17 years is about looking at external customers and making technology a stream in its own right that can help customers with whatever technology solutions we've got around the globe, as long as they fit the Australian market. So my role really is about looking at existing customers that we have as a first step, which is in the insurance industry, for example, or the procurement, which many companies, and then seeing what needs they might have so we can help them with those needs. And it's really about 3 areas, which is claims as a service. A lot of companies their core business is not about claims, but they don't want to invest in all this technology. We can say, okay, pay-as-you-go type service for claims. You can either pay us per claim we do, or you pay per user license. You ramp up, you ramp down. We take on that cost, not the end user. So I think that's the way to go from that perspective. I mentioned mobile apps. So again, we've got a good framework, and as long as we can do these things very quickly, in 90 days, release it, they get some benefit, they get some ideas, and then we move on and we can help them with those. And the last piece really was the analytics as a service. Again, a bit tenuous as to what analytics means, but where we can have an easier access, instead of all these data warehouse projects that kick off, that take years, and at the end of it, business has moved on, you can't. Again, I'm still committed to the 90-day type cycle of things. Even if it's not all your data, not all the information you need, but at least give them some return, and within the 90 days, users using it, it'd be good if I could just have this dimension, okay? It does this, those sort of things. So I think those are the 3 key things we want to develop further in the next 2-3 years.
And then as a CIO, you probably have answered this question, but I'll ask it anyway because I highlighted it before, but what are your key priorities in bringing the business forward? That was sort of the businesses, or have you sort of answered that just then?
I guess in a nutshell, it's being a self-funded revenue-generating division.
That's never a bad thing.
That's never a bad thing, yes. Which, it sounds quite easy. But from a non-technology, just internal focus to external, it's not that easy. And not for technology's sake, like we talked about earlier. It's just not about the latest gizmos. It's about really technology-enabled solutions for businesses, for that need.
So any final thoughts for iTWire readers and also, current and potential customers?
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective personally, it's always about show me, those two words where you've got big projects, big programs of work, and I've been involved in many of those. And really, it's about your team. All right, show me your progress. Show me how you're doing. And people say, oh, yeah, I did that. Okay, could you show me?
Yeah.
And I don't mean it's a mistrust, but it's just so I understand the detail.
That's right, yeah.
Show me those pieces. And again, trying to cut it down to logical steps of 90 days chunks, and always having your goals as a CIO aligned to the business. If you have your technology goals and they're all made by your team, and you go, yep, we've had our workshop, great goals, not aligned to business, then you're going to fail.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is, I believe. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
No, thank you. Pleasure.